Hey guys, it's Justin here, and I wanted to do a quick sort of like I just wanted to show you guys the book because we recently put out the Kindle ebook, and it doesn't really represent very well at all what this actually looks like. Because on the ebook, the text gets shuffled a bit, and it's just not as clean and well designed as the book is. So just wanted to show you. You've probably seen this a million freaking times, but this is the soft cover, like that, and it's a typical softcover book, matte cover. The pages they all have this background, papery background. There's an index. And then Scott Boncristiano, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, did an amazing job on the illustrations. So a lot of the NPCs are depicted by him. So I just slowly go through this, just flipping through. The maps are super basic. I've gotten a little bit of flack for that, but two things. One, I can't draw maps very well. I'll admit that. It's not really my strong point. I'm a writer. But I do believe that the action takes place either in your mind, the player's mind and the GM's mind, or on the table, basically, on the graph that you're drawing, or if you're lucky enough, you have 3D tiles that you're setting up. So I really don't think you need elaborate maps in the book because the actual action is happening, somewhere else. So the GM, their job is to interpret the information as best they can, as lively and entertaining and meaningful as they can. And this is just, the maps are secondary. It tells you where to go, it tells you where is what, and hopefully if your GM is a good storyteller, then they're bringing that world to life. That said, I love great looking maps. I wish I could draw them. I just can't. This book is done to the best of my ability, and if I had more money, I'd hire someone to do the maps, but I just, that's a perfect world. So lots of tables, lots of randomization. Since this book is really simple in an OSR kind of way, I wanted to add tons of variables, but it's also really loose, two different GMs could take this book and have a very different story to tell. And likewise, with any good story, the players are going to add their own angle to what's going on. So just kind of flip through. Another one of Scott's illustrations. This is a pretty sinister book within the book. It's a sketchbook of atrocities. More maps. Someone did a recent review on Google Plus and said this was a time traveler book, and I'm struggling to understand what that means. It's kind of funny because it talks more about the subjectivity of this story and how any GM could kind of take it wherever they want. And the setting is I don't want to say the setting's generic, but you could appropriate it in a number of different ways. The time traveling thing, I really do not understand. This has a pretty low, dark, medieval feel. So I've said it before, but these simple maps, they're a grid, obviously, and they're all 24 by 30 inches, long and horizontal. So I really wanted those constraints to match the average dry erase mat. So it's pretty easy to find a 24 by 30 inch dry erase mat for $10 or something. So you're never going to struggle to draw these rooms. You're always going to have enough space. You might have to, as you advance through the dungeon, you're going to have to erase, obviously, but it's all here set perfectly in 24 by 30 inch parameters. More of Scott's illustrations. That's the Incense Golem. If you're a player, maybe you don't want to watch this video because I might be revealing too much. More rooms, tables, maps. I think Scott, like, we were really lucky to get Scott on board for the series. He's going to do the stuff, the illustrations for book 2 as well, and hopefully all the other stuff that we do. And more of the same. In the middle, there is a giant 2d20, 1d100 table for creating the visuals inside the mirrors that you encounter, both the mirror doors and the different mirrors inside the dungeon. Giant frog person, abomination, incense knight, the inverted cupid. I don't know if I'm holding that correctly, but yeah. So yeah, the one drawback with the softcover is that they wouldn't let me do a flip book. So the hardcover actually has, it's a flip book. So you hold it like this, and as the GM, when the players go into the invert, you invert the book. And what happens is the GM flips to this. So the hardcover, this would be upside down. So showing you the softcover, so it's not upside down. But you enter the invert, and there's 20 variables, 20 levels of the invert, depending on what you roll, you know, the d20. And these are 20 additional maps and scenarios with really lethal enemies to battle if you go into the invert with the right equipment and such. So a few reviewers have completely left this mechanic out for some reason. Maybe once the hardcover's out, it'll be a little more obvious, you know, with flipping the book and shit, like how that functions. And as the series progresses with book 2, the invert will play a larger role. It won't just be like a novelty for the players. Basically, in book 1, you're so weak that going inside the invert's almost like suicide. So I hope I'm not spoiling anything with that. Tons of tables in the back. Parasites of sleep. They penalize you when you rest inside the dungeon. Inverted rebel table. You can actually roll in a new player. You know, mid-game, if you have a friend that wants to play and it doesn't make sense for them in the narrative to just jump in, this is actually a tool for you to roll in a new player, and it's actually like a rational mechanic that's embedded in the narrative. That's really fun because they could emerge from the invert with some really crazy equipment and stats. Also, you will roll for their background, their affliction, and their intent. So it's really like it's not just a character builder, but it's like a background motivation builder. There's also in between the dungeon rooms, you can create random hallways with random creatures. So this is like the dungeon dealer, like the card deck system, kind of truncated into 20 different variables with on top of that, for each 20 there's 4 different orientations, north, east, south, west, for those pieces. And then you can create hallway after hallway with enemies and loot that they drop. So literally, like, this is the size of the dungeon. It's not huge, but if you add the hallways in between the rooms with the dungeon dealer system, it can get really limitlessly expansive. You wouldn't want to get lost in one of those hallways because you wouldn't survive forever. But it's a fun way to mix up the action and, you know, kind of draw out the tension. More maps. Here's Cragley Township on the left, and on the right is the overall map with Cragley, Seven Walls, Leaf, Half Leaf, Black Branch, Humble God, Serpentstone, a whole bunch of stuff, which will be explained in book 2. And I think that's basically it. There's items listed. There's a list of the missing, because missing people in the story, and that's a big deal to the overall narrative. And yeah, so Beneath the Inverted Church, you know, if it's for $15, I think it's a really fun, crazy story, honestly. So thanks you guys for watching this crap, and thanks for all the support, everybody. It's been super great. Yeah.